Hello, my dear friends. Hope you all be fine and doing well. Thank you so much for joining me again. Thank you so much for joining in your channel. My dear friends, today I brought you a very fantastic trap. In this trap, I'm going to show you how you can checkmate your opponent with sacrificing your queen. So my dear friend, this one is very tricky, and I'm assured that if you use this trap, definitely you can surprise your opponent, because this opening is a little bit rare and it is not widely used. So majority of the players, they are not familiar with this opening. So without wasting the time, let's get started the game. My dear friends, in here you just simply push the pawn into c4, as it is called English opening. So most of the time your opponent is pushing the pawn into e5, and he has control in the center. And the reason behind pushing the pawn into e5 is to having control in the center, as well as you have also control in the center. Now you have to activate your pieces step by step and take your knight into c3. From other hand, your opponent is also taking his knight into c6 and activating his pieces step by step. Now your opponent also has control in this square, and you just simply and here push the pawn into d4. Now your opponent is simply capturing the pawn, because your pawn has no defender. If you capture this pawn by your queen, in this way your opponent is capturing your queen. You have the best move, and that is taking your knight into d5. Now your opponent is seeing that his pawn in the center is very weak. After you take out your knight, so definitely you can capture the pawn easily. So your opponent is not ready to lose his pawn. So that's why your opponent is pushing the pawn into g6. In this idea that he should take his bishop from this side and protect his pawn. But in here, you are giving this opportunity, and you are allowing your opponent that he should go as your plan. And here you just simply take your knight into f3 and attack to the weak pawn in the center. Now your opponent is taking his bishop into g7 and protecting his pawn in the center. For example, if you take this pawn by your knight, so definitely your opponent can capture it back with his knight. So on that way, you will not have this opportunity to capture the pawn. And here the best move is coming for you, and that is taking your bishop into g5 and attacking to the queen. My dear friends, in this position, your opponent has three options, but he cannot push the pawn, because if your opponent push the pawn, so you just simply taking back your bishop into a4. For example, if he again push it, so now you have this opportunity to capture the pawn and attack to the queen. So in this way, your opponent's queen dead, and he has nowhere to go. That's why if you capture the queen, definitely you are winning the game easily. So coming back to the second option. So in this position, your opponent cannot take his bishop into f6, because now you are simply capturing. For example, if your opponent captures back, so now you have this brilliant move and capturing the pawn in the center. If your opponent decides to capture, now you are capturing the knight by your queen and attacking to the weak knight. So therefore, it is not a good idea for your opponent. So that's why your opponent is not choosing these two lines, and he is choosing the third line. So let's go to the third line. So my dear friends, in this position, your opponent is not using from the two option. So now your opponent is using from the third option, and that is taking his knight into e7. Now my dear friends, you have the best move, and that is capturing the pawn in the center. So when you capture the pawn in the center, your opponent has two options to capture your knight. The first one is capturing by his knight, and the second one is capturing by his bishop. So my dear friends, now let's analyze it. If he captures by his knight, if he captures by his knight, now you are simply capturing the knight and attacking to your opponent queen. So in this position, your opponent's queen has nowhere to go, and that is why your opponent is losing the queen, and losing the queen means that he is losing the game. So therefore, your opponent, if he goes in this line, so you can capture the queen easily. If he is choosing another line, now we will see what happens. So in this position, if your opponent decides to capture the knight by his bishop, so my dear friends, in this position, you have the brilliant move, and that is sacrificing your queen by capturing the bishop into d4. Now, when you capture the bishop, therefore your opponent is capturing your queen in the center, and white has checkmate in only 2 moves. Can you find it, my dear friends? Checkmate in 2 moves for white. So please pause the video and find the checkmate in only 2 moves. If you find it, so write it in comment section below, and after that watch the video. If you are not able to find it, so it is not a big issue, I'm going to show you. And here, my dear friends, you have this brilliant check by your knight and attacking the king. So in this position, your opponent has only 1 squares to go, and that is f8. Now you have checkmate with only 1 check, and that is giving a check by your bishop. And this way, you are checking mate your opponent, because you controlled all the squares by your bishop and by your knight. So in this way, your opponent cannot escape. So thank you so much, my dear friends, for watching this fantastic video, and I hope you enjoyed from watching this video. If you like the video, please subscribe the channel, share it with your friends, and this way you are motivating me to make lots of good videos in the future. So thank you so much for your attention. See you in the next video.